Hello everybody, welcome to Planet FPL, the world where everything revolves around Fantasy Premier League. My name's Suj.
And my name is James.
I kind of lost, as we were talking even before we were recording, like from Monday, I hadn't even logged in to FPL.
You probably wish you hadn't logged in at all.
I don't really mind. Like, to be honest with you, it's like one of those where... well, there's a couple of reasons why, and we're going to get into it. But yes, look, just for the listeners, we've got a Sunday deadline now for Gameweek 37. Double Gameweek 36 out the way, although 37 is a double game week. So normally on a Friday when we're recording a pod, there might be a deadline later today or even especially tomorrow morning. It's actually got a bit of time to breathe for a little while.
Until the team news comes out and it's all wrong.
Then Sunday morning. But yeah, we're at the end of the double game week 36. But two reasons really. One, this is not normal for me, but when I pick up my phone, if I'm going to do anything fantasy related, at the moment I've been picking up and opening the Sky app first. For people that play FPL and don't know anything about Sky and couldn't care less, I'm trying to win Manager of the Month for May, which is a little challenge we set. And I'm completely focused on that more than I am in FPL.
You didn't have Harry Kane last night, did you?
Nah, but it's fine. You can't have them all. You know, this is the thing about FPL that we might even talk about in this show.
Yes.
You just can't have them all. So you kind of have to look at it as, I didn't have Harry Kane yesterday, but I had Ruben Diaz and Joel Matip on Tuesday, and whoever had Kane yesterday didn't have them on Tuesday, right? And the other thing is, like, you get a feel for where your game week is, but there's just literally kind of no point in dwelling on it. So midweek, Tuesday would have been brutal because Robertson Salah dropped. Wednesday was okay because I had Cancelo, Mason Mount. Those guys did okay. But then yesterday, I only had Saka and Kulusevski, actually, So I had a couple of players, but it kind of goes in ups and downs, right? Mason Mount scores a goal and assist. You think, all right, I might have clawed back a little bit here, but then KDB's banging in 4. But the thing is, you can't have them all, right? This is the thing. And I didn't really, you said we should just chat about Twitter and what have you. I didn't really dip in because of the stupidity and mental madness of stuff on there. Just avoid is the kind of overriding. But when I dip in for bits of fun more than anything else.
You're dipping into the wrong place, really.
But
you should come on our Slack, mate.
It was pretty. I need to get better at using Slack, to be honest.
Yes, you do.
It was a very, very bizarre game week. But obviously, some people in their 40s and some people in the 180s, and there's a massive swing, and it can happen in a double game week when some of the big teams are doubling, especially when you've got Liverpool, City, Chelsea all doubling, the top 3 all doubling. Sometimes you don't get all of them doubling. And the bizarrest thing, I think, is Liverpool. I got Captain Salah, and between Trent, Robbo, Salah, that's 12 points, right? I don't think there's a single game week this season where they've scored less than 12 points. Like at the start of the season, between the 3 of them, 3 Liverpool players, whether it was Jota, Trent, Salah, or Robertson, Trent, Salah, later, I've rarely scored less than 25 points from the 3 of them.
Definitely thinking of Salah's missed penalty at Leicester when they lost 1-0 and thinking that'll be one. But rarely, right? If Salah hasn't popped off as captain, Jota's bagged the brace, or Trent's got a goal and a clean sheet. Like between the 3 of them, you're generally good for 20-25 points most weeks. That's normally just Salah.
So here you got a situation where 12 from 3 in a double game week is absolutely abnormal. Obviously, then a lot of people will still have bits and pieces of Chelsea who saw reasonable amounts of rotation, and then people that didn't go in on City, who hadn't wildcarded or for whatever reason hadn't manoeuvred to City, obviously City scoring goals for fun, you're going to get a big variance of point scores. And then obviously Captain KDB is one of those when Salah scored 4, was it against Burnley or Watford or whatever a few years ago, and even this year how he popped off in a double game week. You're going to have massive variance when someone does that.
Yeah, I've seen a lot of people moaning about we need to scrap the triple captaincy chip. There's too much.
Why?
There's too much. KDB scored 9C on the triple captaincy. It's too much. It's probably
we had 84.
This is what I'm gonna say
from Salah.
Somebody's moaning about the same people. We've got 84 from Salah in game week 26.
And Bowen was 63. I mean, that's still a lot. So I reckon of active players, half would have had one of those three as triple captain, probably, if not more.
Quite a few probably done Salah this week, which is sickening, and I get that. But I often say that the triple captaincy chip is the one I care the least about, because the chance of actually hitting these. How many times do you actually have this happen? Salah pops off with what did he get? 27 was it in his double?
84.
KDB's got 30 this week. Even if you've gone Son's got 20. Kane's got 15, I think. And there's been Jared Bowen, you mentioned, right? So actually, a lot of the triple captainers this week, a lot of them have paid off. Which, of course, if you've missed it and gone with, say, Salah triple captaincy this week, listen, you have my sympathies, but that's just the way it goes. Similarly, bench boosts, right? Bench boosters worked out not too bad for me this week. Kind of made what would have made a very average-looking game week for myself look okay.
What was your bench in the end?
25 I got from it.
Yeah, see, I got, 21, 22 off my bench.
Could be cheeky and claim 38 for it, because actually my four cheapest players in my squad would have actually scored 38, but I put Nketiah, I think rightly,
on the bench.
Because he can finish. Although not last night.
Nah.
No, I put him in the team.
Yeah, my clothes are still on, bastards. And I did laugh when he got subbed off for Lacazette. I was like, live to fight another day, basically.
two more games to survive. I still don't fancy your chances, mate. I think you get a hat-trick against Everton last day, possibly.
Yeah.
What I'd say is, from my perspective, that the bad beats in this feel particularly bad for a lot of people. I think it's worth saying that me and Suj, although we do an FPL podcast, are not invested as much. I mean, it never crossed my mind last night to think, oh my God, I don't own Kane and Son, they've battered me. Like, I'm overjoyed with, like you. Like, I generally, about 1 o'clock in the morning, I thought, oh, let me actually check how I finished this week, right? It barely occurred to me. So, and I know a lot of you are more invested, and you might be in cash money leagues and stuff like that. From my perspective, if you're genuinely suffering from the bad beat and stuff, and this is genuinely affecting your mental health, this is the reason why my DMs are open. My DMs are not open to say, for people to send me screenshots and say thoughts. I'll probably give you some thoughts, but half the time I'm not even going to look, to be honest. My DMs remain open for people to talk about general things that might be affecting them. And if you're affected, generally DM me and I'll give you all the time in the world to talk through stuff. But in terms of a lot of people speaking about, the game needs to change and stuff like that, listen, this year did have something a little bit weird where we had the second free hit introduced. But otherwise, your bench boost, your triple captains and stuff, they're all in play. And one of the reasons I often plan to have a bench boost in the last big double game week of the season is for this. It's because I know it can be mental.
What was the total score? 114.
114 I ended up with.
Considering you were how many ahead of me?
I was on 70 on Monday.
Yeah, so you were a good 30, 40 points ahead of me on Monday, but finished about 15, 20 points, let's say, ahead of me. So it's closed the gap a little bit. And I don't even know how. Like, I would have to actually dissect your team, my team, and figure out how I closed the gap, because I have no idea. It is...
I went into the game week at 89k. When we recorded the podcast on Monday, I was at 58k. And now I'm back down to 85k.
Yeah, I had a drop as well, 20k drop.
Talking about variance, and this is the sort of things that really bother people. I sat here with you 2 weeks ago and said, final decision on wildcard, I'm either going Van Dijk, KDB and Son, or I'm going Trent, Salah and Foden. I obviously went with the latter. The swinging points, and I wouldn't have captained Son in game week 35. I would have captained Coutinho. The swinging points, if I'd have gone that way, 88 points. And instead of sitting 85k right now, I would be sitting at 15k. But that's disappointing. But the reality is, I got a small green arrow this week, and there's more important things in life, like my team winning last night.
Yeah, of course. I bet a 10-time world champion, mate, on Wednesday. More important things in life. You got to have balance. That? You never heard of him?
No, who was the picture with?
He's called Roger Gracie. Roger Gracie.
He's
never
a
heard
giant.
Of him? He is the undisputed best jiu-jitsu fighter of all time. He's 10-time two category world champion.
Did you fight him?
3 times ADCC champion.
Did you win?
What? There's etiquette in a jiu-jitsu dojo.
Well, like, don't ask for a fight.
Basically, yeah. If you don't ask to spar with a black belt, it's considered
right
offensive. Especially him. And no, you don't. Yeah, no, you don't. But he is.
Why would you want
actually,
to?
it's the equivalent of like Michael Jordan in basketball, or Messi in football, or Roger Federer in tennis. Although that's probably disputable now. That's his standing in the sport. There is no one better.
Okay.
No one better.
You just upset Nico, you know that. You said Messi.
I understand.
But Suj is right, by the way.
There is nothing more emasculating than standing next to a 6'4" 100-kilo man. I don't know if I'm a teenager or a child or.
Suj, if you haven't seen this, have a look through Suj's Twitter account at Suj and Shah and see if you can find this picture. Suj don't tweet that much, so it won't be hard to find.
Nah.
The first thing I thought is when I saw the picture of you, this bloke, I thought if I had my arm around him like you did, I'd be touching his bum.
So imagine this.
Was huge.
Right? This is a conversation for another day, and we'll talk about it. But so this guy is 6'4". Tyson Fury.
Looks about 7'4".
Tyson Fury is 6'9". So imagine what I would look like standing next to Tyson Fury, 6'9", and even heavy. Like these guys, when you look at them, you're fucking. These guys are big. And then I was talking to one of my friends, and like, imagine we went to war right now. Right,
Easy.
and you and me are standing there, and we come hand-to-hand combat, and you come up against someone like that, we are fucked, aren't we? But anyway, back to FPL. You need balance and other things in life, of course, and mental health is a big issue, and a number of people have raised it. I think you say there's a lot of people that have been talking about changes to the game and what have you. The reality is it's not a lot of people. It's a minority of people, but they're probably particularly vocal about it because they've had a tough time of it, and it is a game that's there for fun.
We know a lot of our listeners will be on Twitter as well. Twitter always looks worse. It always looks worse. There's a number of reasons for that. One, the community is so engaged, and so it does feel like the people around you are scoring really well all the time and stuff like that. You don't see people posting their dead teams with 30 and stuff like that. So it always feels worse when you're looking on Twitter. And also the game is getting harder. I've said this a number of times that this kind of mythical goal of top 10k is like the be all and end all. Right, well, the first thing is there's 9 million players, there's 9 million teams, and only 10,000 can finish in them top 10,000, and it is getting harder and harder. I think for me, anybody who finishes in the top 50k now, that is an incredible finish. I think we should treat top 10k now as top 50k personally. And that, I think, if we fast forward in this game in 5-10 years, I think that might look like top 100k is genuinely incredible finish, because this game is going to get harder because there's more content out there, be it us, podcasters, brilliant sites. I mean, there's hundreds. There's too many to mention, but even tools out there like Fix, Review. You've got Live FPL Net. You've got Peter's FPL.team. So many useful things out there. Never mind the articles, the videos, the YouTubes, the podcasts, etc., where people have access freely to so much information that people are obviously going to are getting better at the game because they're far more informed. There's more good players playing the game. The game's getting more popular. Sometimes it might feel like it's not in the Twitter community, but the game is getting more popular. So it's going to get harder, and I think we have to accept that. And it means that if you're sitting at 200k right now, like, where are you?
196.
It's good, man.
Yeah. So I've set my personal goal 2 weeks to go. Well, I'm in a split camp. My record finish is 131k 2 seasons ago. So just beat my record. But then beating my record from 2 years ago is harder. Like getting 125k now will be harder, but I want to halve my rank. But also, what difference does it make if I'm 200k or 300k now between now and the end of the season, or go for it? So I've got a free hit and a wild card in the last 2 weeks. I could go completely rogue, right? I could pick a team of 11 doublers this week. What difference is it going to make? Like, I might end up 250, 270k in the world. I might halve my rank for having a bit of fun. So part of me is like, okay, I can set my focus on getting my highest ever rank, so 130k, which is only 60k jump, with a free hit and a wild card, I reckon I can do that. Or have a little bit of fun in the last couple of weeks, because it is about enjoyment. And I think I'm going to take that attitude into next season as well, knowing that it is obviously so much harder. If you don't enjoy it, then it's really becomes a very difficult game to play.
I finished 2016-17 season at 21,000 overall rank. Total points 2,268. I'm currently on 2,374.
Yeah, I'm 2,309. I've got more points than that
now,
right now.
Now, admittedly, obviously, because of the amount of double game weeks we've had and stuff this year, obviously it's going to be more. And similarly applies to last year. Last year I finished on 2,305 points, which is more than that 16-17 season, and finished 343k. Also, COVID interrupted, was a few more doubles. But then the year before...
You got free wild card
The year before, 2,244 points, which is, 24 less than that 16-17 season, finished 149k. Clearly, it's getting harder because there's more good players playing. So I think... The mythical goals, like for those who are in the top 10k right now, like sensational. We've got people like Andy Martin's had an absolute stormer again this week. I think if he's not back in the top 1k, he's very close. Our Leeds correspondent, like that is a joke. Absolutely phenomenal. To the extent that he's usurped Johnny Pringle in the Correspondence League, which gives Dan FPL Loco Lord hope that Man City might not win the Premier League. Because whoever wins the Correspondent League wins the Premier League, although I can assure you that definitely won't be Leeds United this year. We'll get onto them in a little bit. Yeah, I want people to... I feel like it's our quest, Suj, with what we do personally. I want people to enjoy this. I always want, when the weekend happens, I want people to go and enjoy the football and not spend the weekend worrying about what their FPL rank is. And I know people are going to be different, but the game starts, you've made your decisions. I always say, can you be happy with the decisions you've made at the time? And if so, the outcome will go the way it has. And this week, the variances are mad with, obviously, people who've had, genuinely in the end, had quite good bench boosts. And I think most people who were on the bench boost, like people were saying on Sunday, Monday, I haven't seen a good bench boost yet. The majority of people with bench boosts have probably been kind of around about my zone, because a lot of them have just by themselves got Ben Foster.
Yeah.
With full team, right?
As a hero
on the bench boost. So, and then you've got people like De Bruyne popping off, Son popping off, at Salah. I mean, it's like, if I captained Salah, I think you did as well, didn't you, Suj, right?
Certainly did.
I mean, is there anybody who thought that he wouldn't start twice? Anybody? No. So, like, you look back on that and you'd be regretful that you captained Mo Salah. I don't regret that. No, I don't even. That variance of the decision of the three players I made on wildcard, if I went back and had to make the same decision again, I'd make the same decision because I was happy with the decision I made at the time. The outcomes turned out different.
Yep. Are you rolling? Well, there's no point in you rolling this week.
I've got 2 free transfers.
If you are free hitting next week, then there's literally no point in you rolling this week. You may as well use them.
Why am I going to roll? I've got 2 free transfers.
You may as well use them.
I'm free
hitting
in 38, so they're obviously getting used. To give you the honest, truthful answer, I haven't really thought about it that much. Yep. I know that I've been kind of clear in my mind all week that I was going to buy Wilfried Zaha, and that's almost definitely happening. The other move's quite dependent on Ollie Watkins' fitness. There's a little bit of a doubt at the moment. So if Gerrard comes out and says Watkins out, then I'm probably just going to go and buy Danny Ings, I should imagine. If he says Watkins is fit, then I'm going to look at a few other things. Might even involve a -4, which could mean trying to force in Son or Kane, possibly. Maybe even Jamie Vardy. I'm waiting on that Watkins news before I decide what to do. To be honest as well, my mind over the last couple of days has been so focused on the North London derby from last night, right, that I haven't given this too much thought. I presume you on free hit have done more. No. You meant to come in with what your free hit team's going to be.
Because we do a show for our Patreons called The Differential Show, and we release it on that. So if you want to know, sign up, sons.
What a bottle job.
I know 2 things from the single playing teams. The 2 that I fancy and will be going into that I'm not heavily in is Spurs at home to Burnley. I think the momentum from yesterday will be massive and help, and it's a home fixture, so I'm going to go heavy into Spurs. I think City at West Ham.
Hold on, you know it's a double, yeah?
I know it's a double game week.
Okay.
Yeah. So Spurs and City from the premiums, from the big teams, I think I fancy a bit of those because I think City win at West Ham and the title's done. Spurs want that momentum to put the pressure on Arsenal now. I like both of those from an attacking point of view. After that, it's going to be all doublers. So I'll probably have 3 Spurs. I'll go Kane, Son and Kulu. I'll pick KDB, Cancelo from City. And then I'll be going in with doublers. So Leicester.
You're not going to go treble Villa, treble Everton?
Leicester, I'll go with Vardy. I think he's...
I think if you're on free hit, you go treble Villa, treble Everton. I think. Got good doubles, man. They're home in both fixtures. Everton's Brentford at home and Palace at home.
You've seen Brentford's record recently.
Yeah, I know.
Brentford have been doing all right.
Villa got Palace at home and Burnley at home.
I will have some. I'll keep Richarlison, for example, but I'm not going to go treble.
Pickford in goal, right?
But,
I feel like nearly everybody in free hits this week have Pickford in goal. Yeah.
What I'm going to do, Danny Ings. I'm not going to buy the West Ham bound Ollie Watkins, am I?
To be honest, I think for me, and I haven't given it much thought because I'm not doing it, but I think if I was free hitting, I would be something like Pickford, Gordon, Richarlison, I think. Gordon's just a great enabler, right? 4.6 or so. Villa, I think, if I had to make a decision now, and obviously we haven't got the team news time recording now. Cash, Dean, I'd go both. And Ings. Mm-hmm. I think...
Ings over Watkins, yeah?
Dean, I've got Matty Cash, so I'd be loath to move him out. Dean and the underlying numbers, he's out in Matty Cash since he come back last couple of games and stuff. So I think Luca Dean for free hit, plus if he trolls you again, you know he's not in your team next week, which you don't want anyway because I've got Man City away final day. So I think I'd go Cash, Dean, Ings.
Zaha, obviously.
Zaha would definitely go in. Vardy or Maddison, I'd probably want to squeeze one in. And then you're looking from probably whatever's left money-wise, what can you fit in from
City and Spurs?
Kane, Son, Salah, KDB, Cancelo, Trent, whatever. Mm-hmm. Yeah, something like that.
It's not too dissimilar to where my head's at with it.
I think the free hits this week will be very template-ish. I don't think they'll be far from that. I think the real differential ones might be the Leicester guys because it's bugged us a lot last week, not knowing and stuff like that. I think the one to look at now is and go, if you think Vardy or Maddison play on Sunday against Watford, there's a case to say go for it. Also, really importantly as well, obviously, if either Tottenham or Arsenal don't win on Sunday and Monday respectively, Chelsea are then guaranteed ahead of their final games. And we've seen Chelsea recently where their mind's not on it and the games become really open. Mm-hmm. So can the likes of Vardy or Maddison return at Stamford Bridge on Thursday? Well, I think the answer is yes, particularly if that's the scenario. Mine's might be focused a little more if Tottenham and Arsenal both win, but let's be honest, there's no danger to Chelsea, and there never has been any danger to Chelsea finishing top 4, because even if they fuck it up, we've got Watford on Sunday week, so that's not going to be a problem.
Let's talk about these 6 games that we had in the week. I mean, nothing particularly crazily exciting on most of them, but a couple that we definitely want to cover off. Villa 1, Liverpool 2, obviously going down. Liverpool will be managing...
Who's going down?
No one's going down. But Liverpool have been managing their squad, right, for the last couple of games. They've got really the 2 cup finals still to go, but might be out of the title race now. Do you think we're going to continue to see rotation from them? They don't play again until next week, Tuesday.
I have really strong feelings on this. Actually, feelings is incorrect. I have a really strong opinion on this Salah benching. Really strong opinion. So, as I already said, I don't think any of us could foresee him getting benched again. I think quite rightly, he had the break at Newcastle, and you think, well, that's safe. It's Mo Salah. We're talking about one of, if not the best player in the world. He's not done it for jokes. He's not done it for a laugh. I've heard people even suggest, is Mo Salah still part of Liverpool's best 11? Of course he is.
Yeah, that's not a debate.
He's one of the best players on the planet. And my strong opinion on this is as follows. They had a difficult game on Saturday night against Tottenham, obviously, which would have taken a lot of them. It was even mentally as well as physically, right? And I've spoken about this a number of times, that at Liverpool would have a traffic light system. Your players green, your orange, your red. And I'm absolutely certain that in their recovery from the Tottenham game, the physios, doctors, the medics team, sports science, whoever, have flagged it to Klopp and gone, his recovery is not to the standard that it normally is. You're taking a risk starting him. And so he's left him out.
Twice, though.
Yeah, but I just think it's all in the recovery. It's not like they didn't play on Saturday.
He did come on both games. So he's played
completely
minutes.
left Robertson at home. And to be fair, a lot of us, like I own Robertson, a lot of us went into the week and thought,
he's going to miss one.
He's not starting. Then he took him off against Tottenham. And I think the medical department said to him, obviously in reflection to that, because I think he regretted starting Robertson at Newcastle. They've said to him, don't even bother with him. It's a waste of time. He really, really needs a break. So I think there's a difference. So I think like Robertson would have come up as like a big red. Like, no, don't go near it. Salah's probably come up.
He did say in the post-match press conference that there's nothing wrong with Robertson. He just gave him a day off with his family. So
exactly that. And I think it's probably a case that Salah's come up on orange and the other three forwards are all in green, and he really leans on the medical advice on things like that. It's not like
they don't suffer a lot from injuries.
It's not like,
either,
to be
Liverpool,
fair, I know like Origi's done well for them, but let's be really honest here. It's not like they brought Origi into the team. They still have fucking Diaz, Mane and Jota up front, right? He's still an incredible front three. So I think he looks at that, and if that's the advice, he knows if he picks Salah and then he injures himself, then he's only got himself to blame. So I really think this is just down to a medical sports science thing, and that's always possibly going to be a problem for Liverpool going forward in future years. Like I know a lot of people have been talking about Haaland's injury record, and we'll obviously speak about him a lot going into next season and stuff, where he does get injuries, reality and stuff like that. And I think now Liverpool got Diaz. If the front four all stay, then Salah is going to get rotated more next year.
I've got a very strong opinion on this as well.
The quality of the backup is better.
I've got a very strong opinion on this as well, James.
Go on.
Mo Salah is being punished for not signing his contract, and we will not see him start a game.
Look at you
the rest
looking
of this
for
season.
The sensational headline. What a liberty.
He's already agreed terms with Real Madrid for like 2 billion a week. Obviously I don't think that. I think Salah's going to stay. Although interesting in the week that even Sky Sports was saying Mane's contract
in great form.
Expires at the same time as Salah's next summer.
But it's not been spoken about the same.
And no one's talking about it. And Bayern Munich are thinking about putting a bid in. And
but I think also there's probably an acceptance that they're slowly phasing Mane out, I think. Whereas Salah's, obviously numbers are off the chart, but Mane for many times over has been Salah's equal, and quite often it feels towards the end of the season where actually you are looking for the differential. And I'll tell you what, I don't see many teams knocking about with Mane, and I can't blame you because I couldn't make the case. I think you would have gone towards Son, De Bruyne or something like that and looked at coming down to Diaz or Jota if you were going that way, I think. He does. I don't know if there's something psychological in that. It feels like Mane finishes seasons quite well. In any case, again, if you captain Mo Salah, I don't think you can blame yourself. Like I don't blame myself for knowing that I didn't think Robertson would start twice, but I didn't see anything that was particularly worth the -4 in my opinion. Now we can all see the results afterwards and go, yeah, James, you should have took a -4 for Michael Keane, who got 15 points, who didn't even start Leicester's first game anyway. Yeah, so the results and the outcome are very different to the first instance. Liverpool had some real difficult moments in this game. Anybody who thought Steven Gerrard's Villa were going to just roll over or slip were wrong. Villa came and gave Liverpool a proper game. Ironically, I think if Andy Robertson had played, Villa's first goal doesn't happen. It's arguably a penalty, actually, Shimikas into Watkins if Luiz doesn't finish it off. I know there was a lot of Liverpool fans moaning about there should have been offside in the build-up, and they're probably right. The game should have stopped, in my opinion, after Alisson hit the save, made the first save. But then you've got to deal with the consequence of what happens afterwards. The game was generally refereed badly, by the way, by John Moss, who is retiring at the end of the season, along with Martin Atkinson. Hurry up, get on with it, off you go. For Villa, before Villa, one of the reasons I think for free hitters, importantly on Liverpool, if you're still thinking of having Salah this week, which is absolutely reasonable, they need goals, right? They need goals. Whatever happens in the City game, they're going to need goals either way. And they've obviously got the Cup final Saturday. I don't know how anybody can lock in their team this week till the FA Cup final's been and gone. Because I look at my team at the moment and think, yeah, I'll still have Mo next week. No probs at all. I'll probably still start with one of Trent or Robertson. I might even decide to start with both. Probably unlikely. But if that game goes to extra time, I may look at it and go, do you know what? I'm going to go Mo to Sonny and move some money about possibly. If he plays 120, then I think he's at risk again. Because again, to go for their lineup at Southampton next week, honestly, it will be between Saturday night and Tuesday. How have the players recovered? What condition are they in? And if the other three forwards are all green again and Mo Salah's orange, he'll leave Salah out again. That's what it'll come down to. So it's Salah's turn and stuff. If Mane's obviously keeps coming up, green, keeps playing. It feels like Mane's due to rest. But actually, I think this is all down to medical science and advice in terms of who's starting. So make your own judgments on what you see Saturday night. The worst thing is you watch the cup final and it's, Mo Salah looks tired and he'll get 5 next week when you know how it works.
Leeds.
Villa.
What about them?
Villa.
They got double.
If you're free hitting this week, you're going free. Well, look, again, we haven't got the team news at the moment. If Watkins is fit, then that makes Ings obviously more risky. I think Watkins has preference from Gerrard over Danny Ings. Danny Ings looked lively the other night. I watched back all of the game against Burnley for talking tactics I've done for the advanced tiers, which will be out later today on Villa specifically. And I also looked at, in that video, how Burnley continue to have spatial issue problems between the back four and the midfield four, and how players like Coutinho and Buendia could still have joy. So I've got Coutinho. I have absolutely no intention of moving him, even though I'm not certain that he starts twice. If Watkins is out, then they'll play Coutinho and Buendia behind Ings. And they'll go 4-3-2-1, basically Christmas tree. Importantly, if they do that, they've only played together before once, that front three under Gerrard, with Buendia and Coutinho behind Ings. If you go looking for that game, that's going to fill you with disappointment because they lost 1-0 at home to Watford. And you think, that's going to be off-putting. Watford that day played with Imran Louza as a really, really deep-lying holding midfield player, and his job was to move side to side to go to Coutinho or Buendia, depending on the role of where the ball was. And Watford under Hodgson obviously went quite deep. They were very much kind of a 4-1-4-1/4-5-1 without the ball. Burnley will allow Villa far more space. The trick with Burnley, and I've learnt this, the more I watch them over and over, you know how people say Burnley are direct and play long ball football? The trick with Burnley is to go and play direct against them. You play direct and bypass the midfield four, you have so much joy against them. So I think the Villa attacking players, particularly in that second fixture, could still have some joy this week.
Leeds need to stop getting themselves sent off.
Do you know what? That's
James, their third red card of the season, so it's not like they've had loads. But
I said this the other day, more yellow cards than any other team in any other Premier League season. They're going to push 100 yellow cards.
That's incredible.
Yeah.
Disciplinary record's bad. I mean, there are teams with more red cards than them. But
the Luke Ayling challenge at Arsenal was dumb. It was unnecessary. The way he went in two-footed. I don't think in that particular challenge there was intent to hurt the player. I think he thought, I'm going to go in and I'm taking everything. And his feet worked quite low to the floor. But it's a red card, no question. The Dan James challenge on Wednesday night is a challenge of a coward. I'd love to look at him and call him a coward. That's awful. Because he knows exactly what he's doing. None of this, he played the ball first. He plays the ball and he knows exactly what he's doing afterwards. He's going to go and have Kovacic. And it's a disgraceful tackle. And it is one of them where I saw it live and I knew straight away.
He's going off.
He's gone. And he's let his teammates down. He's let the fans down. Yeah. I mean, talk about shoot yourself in the foot. They shot themselves in the foot the way they started anyway. They started up really, I'd say bizarrely. Rafinha was basically playing right back at the start of the game. The back five obviously kind of all went out the window once James had been sent off. But this was very comfortable for Chelsea before the red card and obviously after the red card as well. This was, although we'd said we thought one of Leeds' best opportunities to win a game left might be Chelsea. I think when we saw the Chelsea team, we went, it's not this one.
No.
Because that team was... And there's the irony, right? Most of us thought all the Chelsea will mass rotate at Leeds. And maybe if Connor Cody hadn't scored in the last minute on Saturday, maybe they still would have. I don't know. But I think what he decided to do in the end was they've been in such a kind of... Negative spiral's harsh, but they've obviously not been in form recently. I think he's thought, I need to get some
positivity back into this team going into obviously Saturday's cup final. So I think he picked a stronger team. They played slightly differently because they've been playing, and it's not really been working with obviously 2 up front recently. That moved back to 1 up front with 2 floating players behind in Mount and Pulisic on Wednesday night, and I think they look better for it, personally. I think Lukaku will start the cup final. I think that he's got 3 goals in 2, and I said this to you on Monday, I think just go with it, play him again.
Yeah, it's disappointing for a Havertz owner like me, but then I don't really own Havertz anymore because he's free hitting.
Plus as well, going into Saturday, if you're going in with the 2 10s, if you will, rather than the 2 up front, obviously with the 2 up front, they're looking to kind of work in the channels between the fullbacks and the centre-backs. If you're playing 1 up front, you can sit off a bit deeper. And what's Lukaku's strength, right? I mean, you can fire it up to him. And if he's in the right frame of mind, he is a handful.
Oh, massive.
Absolutely. He's still one of the best strikers in the around. It's just basically people go to Chelsea to die if you're a number 9, basically. I think he'll play the cup final again, actually. And I think they'll line up similarly to how they did. What it means for Chelsea assets for the game against Leicester next Thursday is impossible to tell you. All I'll say is a little bit like what I said. I think if Tottenham and Arsenal, if one of them have slipped up before and Chelsea know top 4's done, I think it might be quite fun. Like I could see it ending like a 3-2 or something like that, one way or the other. That doesn't mean that you shouldn't keep someone like Reece James, right? Because Reece James
could go off.
Of course he can. Absolutely. I think that's a really awkward one this week. I mean, I presume you're no Chelsea for you on free hit. No, can't really justify it, can you?
No, but I will have Leicester attacking, and they've just gone and scored 3 goals.
You wouldn't consider having James over, and again, you need the cup final information, but you wouldn't consider James over Trent or Cancelo or something like that?
No,
I'm in agreement.
And not even over a doubler like Cash or Deeney that you just mentioned just now. So,
but I also think like they're not your biggest. If you own, and obviously you're not free hitting this way, where I don't think they're your biggest problem.
Agree.
In terms of whether they're going to start next Thursday,
who knows?
Even that, because of the distance between the 2 games, I don't think the cup final is even going to help you, to be honest.
And we're talking about Leicester, Chelsea. Will Leicester just comfortably... I mean, is there a more routine, predictable 3-0 home win against Norwich than this? And
Norwich had
trolls of trolls...
A few chances.
Barnes, Maddison, Vardy all return. Like, if they were on form and playing well all season, we'd love assets like that. But it's a bit late in the season.
You look at that Sunday fixture against Watford, and I think that's where the temptation is. Like, if forget the Chelsea game for the moment, although I've said it could be quite fun. Vardy or Maddison, particularly, I think could do some damage in that. I know a few people even held Harvey Barnes, even though he's been out of form, and well done, because even you've got some returns from that, obviously, in the week. Leicester started the game really brightly from what I've seen of it, which isn't a lot, if I'm honest. Norwich then had some chances. I mean, Schmeichel's ended up with a bonus point here. So how routine is
5
the 3-0?
saves and
you seen Pookie's miss?
I didn't see it. No.
I mean, Pookie's hit the post. Easily could have scored to make it 1-0 to Norwich. Leicester went with a far more offensive team. So they've been playing Mendy in all the league games because he's been ineligible in Europe. And they went back to playing sort of Tielemans and Dewsbury Hall with Lookman, Maddison, Barnes and Vardy. Now, that's an offensive lineup, and possibly he's picked that because it's Norwich. But it's done well, and there's every chance he might stick with it again for Watford. And if he plays all those attacking 6 at Watford, I don't for a second doubt that they'll go to Vicarage Road and win. And therefore, their first game is one of the best of the weekend. They can be considered, I think, only for free hitters, really, rather than those by him. Because you wouldn't have any confidence about the second game. Plus, obviously, Southampton final day is obviously 3 days after the Chelsea game. And if you're carrying Villa or Everton assets, you don't want a Leicester headache as well going into the final day. So I think the probably one for free hitters maybe to invest in. Obviously, those who've got Schmeichel like me and stuff, that's fine. I'm obviously leaving it this week. The back line's really difficult to predict. Really difficult who to play at the back. So I don't think, if you're free hitting, I don't think you gamble on the likes of Castagne has played both games in this double. But I wouldn't say there's any guarantee that he plays at Watford, for example. I think the defensive guys are worth skipping. I couldn't really make the case for Dewsbury Hall because I think Gordon's a better asset if you're free hitting this week, personally. And actually, if Jacob Ramsey is past fit for Villa, I'd argue that he probably is for this week as well. But the attacking guys, you can have a look.
Yeah, I might take a punt on the defender.
I mean, if you're free hitting as well, because I really don't mind people punting.
Again, it's down to rank, right? Like I'm in that mindset of, okay, I'm at 190k, 190 or 300. Fuck it, what does it matter? If I go Castagne and he pops off and brings in a 15-point return, it could be back up to beating my previous high. So I think I might gamble on one. I
think this week is easier to read to the extent that if we take Vardy as an example, go back to this time last week, I don't think we could even be certain that Vardy started at all.
Yeah,
because he'd just come back from injury. You obviously got 3 days after Roma and then another 3 days to the Norwich game. This week, it's easier to read. We now know there's no focus towards the Europa. Every league position is worth 2.2 million. Leicester are not in the league position they want to be in, and I'm sure they would still like to finish top half and can do so if they finish the season well. And the spacing of the games, you've got 4 days from Norwich to Watford, another 4 days to Chelsea. So it's easier to read this week, and it does make you think, well, could he just pick his strongest team in the next 2 league games? Whereas I don't think this time last week, none of us could have confidence in that. We still sat here last Friday and went, Schmeichel will play twice. Other than that, I mean, I know even Aaron Lager said, and he was spot on, he said, I think the most likely defensive one is Castagne, and he was right. I think it's the offensive ones that you'd want to look at. I don't mind if people want to pump Vardy, Maddison, particularly on the free hit.
Watford 0, Everton 0. Stunning 0-0. I bet it was a riveting game. I didn't watch it, so I can't really comment.
Yeah, I'd not watched a lot of it, but apparently it was pretty drab. A bit of frustration from Everton fans having not won this. I think most of us who owned Richarlison, Gordon and the like saw the Watford team with all the injuries they had suddenly and went,
come on.
There's points here potentially. Have you seen Foster's saves, by the way?
I've seen a couple. So he has to go down as, I mean, when you got De Bruyne popping off with like 30 points and stuff, but Ben Foster 14, he's a double game week hero in his own right.
Yeah, I mean, what are you getting from KDB there? Like 2.5 points per million or something like that. I've got that. That's probably a little bit more, 2.8 or something maybe. Whereas Foster is, what's he got? 14 points?
14 off of 4.1. So
he's what, 3.5?
Yeah.
There you go. Ben Foster was better value this week than Kevin De Bruyne. Obviously, with triple captain KDB, that's not the case. Yet Foster's saves, if you haven't seen it, it's so funny. He makes one brilliant save from Richarlison, which took a bit of a deflection, which made it a really good save. His other saves, Suj, are like back passes, mate. And that's where he's got his haul from, which is, it's fluke.
It happens sometimes.
It was also their first clean sheet in 22 home games or something, I think. In the Premier League, dated back to their previous season, they were in the Premier League, I think. Look, but that's exactly it, and that's why you want a budget goalkeeper as part of it. I always scream about it. And whenever I get asked about, should I bench boost this? And I get, keeper's not got a double, because there is this random nature to them.
Correct.
He's got 4 points, who did they play at the weekend? Palace. He's got 4 points in that game. He had one save he made in the game, which hit the inside of his calf, rolled along the line, basically hit the post and come out. And if that goes in, he's every chance he might be finishing that game on 1 or 2. If that Richarlison effort deflects a different way, he's finishing the game on 2-3, and he's finishing the game probably on 5 or 6 rather than 14. So, but Foster is, for most people, done the job on the bench boost, I think, for many, rather than perhaps the outfield players. Watford, we've spoken about, have obviously got Leicester left. They've also got Chelsea final day, which is a free hit 38. I've really got an eye on, because that team, if that team that they played the other night rocks up at Chelsea, they'll get annihilated final day. And again, I obviously don't need to make the Chelsea decision till next Friday or Saturday. Watford wouldn't be in your thoughts. Ben Foster can obviously stay on the bench for the rest of the season. Although, just a point, actually, I meant to mention on Norwich, Suj, can you have a look at Angus Gunn's price?
I certainly can.
Not that you'd start him, but actually he is an alternative option, perhaps for your bench on a free hit in forthcoming games, because it's
4 million.
It's 4. So he's cheaper than Foster, isn't he?
Just by 0.1, but
there you go. I tell you, if you're looking at that move this week, I can't find that 0.1. There you go. Foster to Angus Gunn maybe might be what opens it up for you. Everton, I still think you really want a big part of this week. The only concern I'd have is right now it's difficult to foresee Leeds and Burnley winning games that's left.
So if Everton win their...
I think they could even both finish on what they're on is possible.
If Everton win their next game and Leeds lose their next game, it's done for Everton. They're safe. They're 2 points clear.
It doesn't even need that. So Everton's at 4:30 on Sunday. So if Leeds lose to Brighton, and I'm afraid to say I think they might, Everton know because of the goal difference a draw against Brentford, and that's it. It's done. So just like that.
And then the second game suddenly becomes part
and that's why, to go back to what I started with about saying Everton fans being frustrated about the result on Wednesday night, and I get that you want to win and finish it off. The reality is the results of the previous games, United, Chelsea and others, Leicester last Sunday, that have put them in this position where actually they're in control. If Sunday goes wrong, they've got another opportunity to fix it on Thursday. The concern I'd have as someone who currently has the captaincy bust on Richarlison is exactly that, though. Do they then go into Brentford and think, draw here is enough? And it becomes not what you want from a Richarlison captaincy in a double game week. And then can they get done over by Palace on the Thursday if they're safe? And the answer to that is definitely yes, isn't it? Yep. And the closer it gets, the more I think I'm back captaining Zaha. And that is something you definitely never thought you'd hear me say this season.
Listen. All I'll say, James, is if you captain Wilf Zaha,
I've lost my mind.
My DMs are open for you because you're going to need some mental health support, mate.
I'll open a second Twitter account to DM myself. I should do that and I'll screenshot it. Why have I done this to myself? Yeah. No, genuinely, I just think the way that could play out, and I do think Richarlison's a good captaincy this way. I'm not saying I won't do it. At the moment, it's bust on him. But yeah, I can foresee that situation where suddenly Brentford have been in great form, right? Suddenly they draw that because it's all they need. Take the pressure off, and then with the minds at ease, they ease off. Thursday could go either way. Suddenly they play with freedom, and it might go really well, or they open themselves up and players like Zaha can completely expose on the counter-attack.
Did you know Kevin De Bruyne listens to this podcast?
I did, yeah.
Because he must have heard on Monday you talking about the fact that Wolves hadn't conceded a first-half home goal. I'm sure you said they haven't conceded a goal at home in the first half, or was it away since September or something like that?
Do you know what the title of the podcast was recently? I called it "You're Like My Wife."
Yeah, I remember.
Do you know why?
Why? Because I don't listen to you.
Yeah, the stat was away games.
Away games. Obviously, they were away at Chelsea at the weekend, hence it. So, shame. Either way, you fucking destroyed him in the first half.
I mean,
his left foot, and that was
that.
The
thing is,
right?
You watch it. There was a lot of people. To be honest, I was watching. I wanted to watch Leeds Chelsea, holding that little hope that, from a Tottenham perspective, that Chelsea might slip up. And within about 5 minutes, I was like, this is a waste of time. Then obviously James got sent off and it was a complete waste of time. So from that perspective, once it got to half-time, I was like, right, well, I'm watching Wolves City from here on in anyway. Be more enjoyable because the Chelsea game with the red card was dead. And you're watching De Bruyne and there's a little bit in you. This is how my mind works. There's a little bit in you thinking, he's fucking destroying me here in FPL. But the other side of me is going, kill them. This is so fun to watch you. He is. I spoke about him a lot on Tottenham yesterday. I think we're getting to a stage, because we know not all of you are patrons, where we have to be considering him. It's certainly at the level of the other great midfielders that have played in the Premier League, and for him to be debated as, in my opinion, the best Premier League midfielder of all time. And I know a few people said to me, you can't make that decision till he's won a Champions League or until his career is finished, and that's absolutely fine. But he is up there with all the best midfielders I've seen in this league. And I've seen them all live in front of me. And he scares the living daylights out of me. The man scored a 25-minute left-footed bad foot hat-trick. You know who the last person was to score a hat-trick with his bad foot?
No.
It was Harry Kane. Gameweek 38 at Hull in the 16-17 season. And yeah. He's got 4, mate.
Yeah.
His first hat-trick for Man City. So if you saw this coming, no. But I think we all knew KDB's had it in him. But then, again, it's interesting, the narrative. Going into, before the game week started, a lot of people going, wait, is he fatigued and stuff because he took off at Madrid and that, right? Before, and that feels like a lifetime ago now.
The last
Phenomenal.
5 league games.
He had a fucking post with his left foot as well, man.
They've won their last 5 games, 22-2.
Is that all?
It's ridiculous. It's more than 4 goals a game average. They obviously coming up against West Ham this week. Now,
looking forward to it.
For the day out and our last home game, of course. But from a football point of view, look, the thing is, it's different. Their last games they played Leeds, Watford. Wolves are good defensively. It'll be a tough game. There's no doubt about it. We're not gonna make it easy, but they're gonna dominate the ball. And the problem is, if they score early, then you're just chasing shadows for 80, 90 minutes. You have to kind of keep it tight for as long as possible with these guys. And the first 15, 20 minutes, they're going to want to get their noses in front. So it's going to be difficult to watch them just dominate a game, which is what they do so regularly. So, yeah, I'm looking forward to it because you want to challenge yourself against the best in the league. But it's funny, like, the impact that playing certain teams at different times of the year can have. And being the last home game of the season, we've got only overtaken United to play for, versus if we play them really early in the season.
It's worth saying you do still have something to play for.
Yeah.
For those who might
think, do.
West Ham aren't just going to roll over.
No. Because if we can get something out of the game, it puts us in a position where we can get 6th. But yeah, I mean, if you own City assets, you're not selling them this week at all, and it's not.
I don't necessarily agree with that.
You don't think people?
Well, no, I
think
for me, if I'm going Zaha, the way my squad's set up currently, moving Foden is probably the one.
I probably worked off the assumption Cancelo's in there, De Bruyne's in there. I think your Foden's, Mahrez's, Bernardo's. Yes, you can move on. Defensively, I know that obviously City are good defensively. I think we haven't failed to score in a home league game all season. This is the last one.
A City clean sheet locked in.
So we have to. Well, it would be nice to at least see us score in every home game this season. So, but it could be one of those, right, where it's 4-1 or 3-1, where they'll leak one at the back. They haven't got potentially Laporte or Diaz or Stones. So centre back
or Fernandinho possibly now as well.
Yeah. So if Antonio wants to be a bully, then this is the one chance he's got to really get in amongst them. So I think City are going to win, right? But or highly, highly likely to win.
I think, we spoke about it on the pod we did yesterday on Patreon. I spoke to you that I actually thought that City's injuries defensively was possibly more dangerous to you, because I don't think he's going to, whatever he does defensively, I don't think he's going to have a lot of trust in. And I think you might be looking at a case where they, as it stands, they go something like Aki and Rodri. If they're all out, that might be the centre-back pairing. Now, the two-pronged of that as well is obviously if you move Rodri out, normally you'd put Fernandinho in, but obviously he's going to be out as well. So I would guess Gundogan would play a real deep-lying role, would be my guess. But I think what it means is, I just think it means City will come for you harder, actually. Yeah. And whereas I'd probably, prior to the latest City injuries, thinking, do you know what? City will take a draw at West Ham. Like, they won't kill themselves to risk losing it. A draw will be fine. That said, because of the goal difference now as well, does it make a difference? I mean, what's the goal difference now? Can Liverpool realistically make up the goal difference if City lose one?
On the table,
+7. I guess, yeah, it could. If City lost and then Liverpool I mean, that would be quite exciting. If City lost on Sunday, then you know Liverpool they really would play the 90 minutes against Southampton to try and put as many goals on the board. And you never know what Southampton you're going to get. You could get the Ralph Hasenhüttl brilliant defensive display, which they beat Liverpool 1-0 last season at St Mary's. Or you might get the car crash that opened up very recently against Chelsea and lost 6-0 and only lost 6-0 because Chelsea had a Champions League game a few days later to think about. Otherwise, that might have been another 9-0. I mean, if you wanted a game where you were going to score a shitload of goals in, Southampton would be near the top of your list, wouldn't it? So maybe, yes, maybe a draw for City would. I mean, it's obviously better than losing, clearly. But I think it means they might come for you quite early in the game. And I actually think it probably means more goals in the game than I originally would have thought. So as I said to you yesterday, I can actually see the game finish as like 4-2 to City. But then that doesn't make me think, I'm definitely going to go without Cancelo, for example, or leave Cancelo on, because I've got a benching headache definitely this week. Because, I mean, he could have got anything the other night again, and he could have the week before against Newcastle. Cancelo could have got 3 or 4 goals comfortably this week. He's not the sort of player I ever want to leave out. Because if they're getting 4, there's every chance he's getting involved somewhere. Which, if you add up what I'm saying, just adds to the appeal of the likes of KDB this week. I thought Foden was great in midweek as well, particularly. But the Fodens, the Sterlings, the Mahrezes, they're Grealishes, if you fancy it, they're really difficult on free hit this week. Whereas it seems completely improbable that Kevin De Bruyne, considering they haven't got a fixture next midweek as well, it seems completely improbable. There's no way he doesn't play, surely.
Yep.
Whereas the others, there is whatever Luke says. Luke will predict the team and he'll get 10 or 11 right.
Nice.
Probably. Follow what Luke says. But I think if I was free hitting this week, it would probably be either KDB or no one, actually, despite what I'm saying. You definitely can. I think the 4 premium forwards, Kane, Son, De Bruyne, Salah, you definitely can fit them all in on a free hit, I think. If you're cutting out all the value on the bench and stuff, there'll be a lot of listeners got more value in the bank than me. I've had a look at it, and it definitely can be done. It probably means arguably going with no premium defender, but then you can go Mikalenko, Cash Dean, 3-4-3 this week or something and make it work.
Spurs 3, Arsenal 0. I didn't watch the game yesterday, James, but from my loose delving in on Twitter, it felt like Arsenal self-destructed completely. I'm sure I saw the penalty as a few people describing it as soft, and then obviously Holding could have got sent off previously and just was, from what I've heard, so you can tell me if I'm wrong, or other people are wrong, to be honest with you, cruising to get himself sent off, just madness.
Good night, that. Enjoyed it. Before I did it, I've talked about the atmosphere. Phenomenal.
Yeah.
Absolutely. But even when I got off the train, it was an hour before kickoff, and you could hear it from the station, like the noise and stuff. And the high road is normally quite clear. The police were just letting everyone drink in the road and stuff. Okay. It was a proper atmosphere. I think inspired by certain things that have happened at other stadiums recently, like at Goodison Park and stuff. By the way, stop with this flare nonsense, though. Like, it looks good on the TV and stuff. Stop throwing flares on the pitch. It is going to go wrong at some stage. Stop taking flares in football stadiums. I think in my thoughts prior to the game, I'd underestimated what the atmosphere was going to be. And I have experienced better at Tottenham. Champions League quarter-final against Man City was even better than last night. But I watched the game back again when I got home last night. And it was interesting towards the end. Like Gary Neville was saying it's the best atmosphere he'd been at all season and stuff. And it certainly felt like that from my perspective in the ground as well. And again, it's like an extra man, isn't it? It really is.
I mean... the reverse being when you lost at Emirates.
To be fair, I was there. The atmosphere was really good at the Emirates that day.
It helps when you're winning, right?
Yeah, of course.
Massive to go up.
But in the build-up as well, you could feel it because it's. I think as well the mentality, and I'm sure even all the Arsenal listeners will agree with this. And me and Adam Pritchard were tweeting about it yesterday. Our Arsenal correspondent about you do not look forward to this game. I don't know anybody who looks forward to it. I saw FPL Chancellor for a beer before the game. Says I just feel sick. And it's like, just want to get it started, get it on with. But yesterday's mentality for us was a little bit different because although you're going in with fear, we had to win. I spoke to you yesterday about how many times we probably just both look at each other and go, you're right with a draw here, lads, and we'll all disappear and go. And both sets of fans would accept that quite a lot rather than losing. Whereas for us yesterday, we had to win the game. And I think it made the atmosphere a little bit different to what a normal derby is. The game started... not as I'd expected, but I liked what I saw. Because Arsenal had a lot of the ball in the opening 15, 20 minutes. And I thought that would have a negative impact on the crowd as well. And it didn't. I think the fans have now realised what they're getting with Antonio Conte. And actually, in these big games, this is best for us how to set up. Is to set up to trap teams, break quickly on the counter-attack and go through teams. And Arsenal started the game the better of the two teams, but I wasn't bothered. Because what I was seeing in front of my eyes was these opportunities will come for us to come back and hurt them. They lined up with El Neni really deep to shadow and block Kane's pass. For the advanced tier patrons, don't know I spoke about what Bissouma did to Kane a few weeks ago. Yeah, go and look back at El Neni on the third goal. He comes out for the second half and he forgets what his job is. Love it. But then obviously the penalty is soft. There's no doubt about it. I'm the other side of the ground. When it happened, it was one of them where I could definitely see the contact, 100%, but it's not one you expect to be given. And I asked a few people at half time to get the feeling, and a lot of people were saying, like, it's soft. If it was given against you, you'd be disappointed. All right, fine. Saw it back, obviously, after the game. And do you know what? If it had been given against me, I would have been disappointed. I'd have more been raging at the idiocy from my player. Because it's not subtle from Cedric. And I think most of the time you get away with it, but it's the fact that he doesn't even look at the ball. He's got his back to the play and stuff. It just wasn't subtle. I do think most of the time you get away with it. So I can certainly understand from that perspective, soft. I think most of the time it doesn't get given. But it was never going to get overturned. And I knew that in the ground at the time once he'd given it because I could see the contact. From there, holding, I mean, people call my team Spursy. I'd come up with your own name for Arsenal, mate, because they're the best at imploding and stuff. Holding, you're right. It was like he was on a mission to go.
Yeah.
I think he was under instruction that if someone went into his zone, you get tight, you don't let him turn on you. I'm not saying necessarily take him out. But when he got the first booking, which is a booking because at the end of the day he pulls him and it's a mandatory yellow card. Although we've seen a few get away with it recently. But it was the fact, and Paul Tierney says it, you can see it clearly, he says like it's the third foul as well. He easily could have been booked before that. The second one, I've seen people moaning about it. It's arguably a straight red card. What is he doing? It's bizarre. Son's not getting the ball. You can't even defend it. And if Arsenal fans want to be angry with, I mean, Arteta's comments after the game, I don't blame him because he's feeling emotional after what happened and stuff. And you're better off not saying anything. And you wouldn't expect him to come out and blame his own player. I'm not saying that's what he should say. So I think probably inside though, he's probably raging with him because he's let the fans down, he's let his teammates down. There's nothing to even debate on that. The penalties are debate, fine. Otherwise, the refereeing decision, there wasn't anything to debate. No, really.
So if Arsenal fans waking up today will probably it's disappointing to lose, but it's still in their hands. Like win one more game and you're done, and they're likely to. I mean, they've just come off the back of beating Chelsea and United.
I've also seen Arsenal fans criticising the way Tottenham fans celebrated last night, which is ironic when I've sat here and defended the way they've celebrated certain wins recently.
I think
celebrate however you want. It's all
the
social media noise. Yeah,
stupidity, isn't it? Really. So
the key part of the game was, and literally it was nice for us as well because for the corner for the second goal, I said to my dad, "We've got to score in these 10 minutes," because they were gone in that period after the red card. They were all over the place. And it was like, finish the game now. And then we literally scored from that corner. So, I mean, brilliant. Loved it. And then if there was any doubt, we were obviously in that position that then obviously Arsenal were in against Leeds. But obviously, to be honest, I thought with the ball and stuff, I thought Saka and Odegaard particularly were quite dangerous last night. They're good players. Martinez is a good player. Difficult for him positionally last night, and I accept that. And then Ketcher, tell you what, it works the channels great and stuff. I think his build up and hold up play has improved massively from what it just has over the last couple of weeks from what I'd seen of him previously. To say, yeah, do you know what? He has got the capability to be a Premier League striker. I don't think he's going to be Arsenal's long-term number 9. We know he's out of contract as it stands anyway. From our perspective, good. Wing-backs, excellent. Sessegnon and Emerson Royal for both games over this double game week. Really good. That's promising for the finish. I don't think he's the sort of one, Sessegnon, where for those looking at trying to fit in, say, the 4 premium attackers, as I've said, you could consider him. But I think because of the double, you can go for like Mason Holgate. Yeah, exactly.
If you put one more, Charlie Taylor, Burnley, if you really...
No, I don't think so. I think Mason Holgate would be the if you need to find that enabler with a decent double this week. There's literally no reason to think Mason Holgate isn't going to start twice at the moment unless Lampard comes out today and says, hey, guess what? Mina and Godfrey are both fit, and it would need to be both of them fit, I think, for Holgate to be at risk. Sessegnon, as I said to you previously, strong consideration now for game week 38, free hit for me. And I wouldn't rule out Emerson Royal, who easily could have added a goal last night as well. It's some decent efforts. There's a little relationship building between Kane and Emerson, actually, when Kane's dropping off. Emerson is beginning to make some of the runs off the ball that Doherty makes, where he just comes in off the flank and he sees it from the other side and he just goes. He goes into a forward position. And I wouldn't be surprised if he scores in the next two, actually. But I think Sessegnon I would really fancy Sessegnon to return at some point over the two games. Shout out for Højbjerg. Absolutely brilliant last night. And the regular listeners will know I've been a big critic of him. It was my man of the match by distance last night, personally. I thought he was fantastic. And the front boys obviously doing the business as they so often do. You want me to sit and tell you which one scores more on Sunday, right? Out of Kane or Son?
This is the standard. Last week everyone wants to move from Son to Kane, this week not. But I'll probably end up with both on the old free hit.
I think there is obviously the added narrative now of Sonny going for the Golden Boot. He's one behind Mo Salah. Most of you will have seen the disappointment with him last night when he was brought up. I thought it was really cute and clever from Conte, actually, because I think he knows if he had any doubts about his fatigue and his recovery for Sunday, just kill that. Make sure his motivation is still there for Sunday. Not that there should be any question of that, but to be honest, in that second half, I think Arsenal were... Listen, there were certain things, particularly with the penalty, that Arsenal were unlucky about last night. And actually, they were unlucky not to score in the game. But I think Arsenal were also extremely lucky last night that Tottenham were playing at 12 o'clock on Sunday. Because I think if we hadn't had a game in, say, for 5-6 days afterwards, I think we'd have won 5 or 6-0 last night. And I think we took the foot off the pedal. And I think one of the reasons it took Sonny off as well was Sonny weren't stopping. Everyone else was playing at half pace and Sonny was still trying to play at 100 mile an hour. And the fans understood the situation as well. My dad's going, come on, get 4 5. I'm like, listen, that would be lovely and we can all remember it. But if we go and get 4 and 5 and then don't beat Burnley on Sunday, it's fucking irrelevant. So, yeah, look, mine's focused. We've got to go and win the game on Sunday. Be tough. They're fighting for their lives, obviously. They have, as I've already mentioned on this pod, a big spatial problem between defence and midfield. But I think the Leeds situation might define that they do come in a bit deeper on Sunday and close off that space. If they don't, Kane might be the one for Sunday rather than Son.
Cool. I'm going to give Patreon a shout out quickly. You can tell everybody about the streams that you've got left for tomorrow, and we'll get into some Twitter questions. Patreon.com/Planet FPL. If you sign up now, you'll get all of our end of season, wrap up content in the next 2 weeks, and there'll be nothing in June, so you won't get charged in June, but you'll be ripe and ready for July when we start the pre-season stuff, assuming the game will be live, but we know it'll be live by July. To head over to patreon.com/Planet FPL. Streaming. Deadline Sunday? Streaming?
No, we got the differential show for patrons
Indeed.
Later today. The team news stream for advanced tier patrons, 6 o'clock tonight. And the deadline stream for everybody on the Planet FPL YouTube channel will be 9:30 a.m. on Sunday morning for the 10:30 a.m. deadline. And as soon as it hits 10:30, it's end stream because I'm going back to the lane, obviously. And it's Sunday transport as well. So I really am not fucking about on Sunday morning.
Uber.
I'd say now as well, there is no deadline stream for Game Week 38. I've done 37 this year. I'm sorry, there's not going to be a deadline stream of Game Week 38 because I've heard people saying, are you going to stay live? Someone asked me that. Are you going to stay live during the games? One, no. Well, one, I'm in Norwich. And even if I wasn't in Norwich, no, Tottenham are playing bollocks. So I'll probably do something next Saturday, the day before, not the deadline stream or something like that.
Remember, obviously, as well, the deadline's 2 hours before, isn't it?
They've changed it back. It's 1.5 hours now.
Oh, it is now, yeah?
Yep.
Fair play. Brian O'Flaherty, what's your favourite biscuit?
Oh.
I like cookies with chunks.
Hobnobs.
Chocolate chunk. I love chocolate, so anything with chocolate
Hobnobs.
chunks in does it for me. And patrons will know that whatever biscuit is, I'll dunk it.
the hobnobs where you get the big fuckers and there's like 8 in a pack and you open them and it's like, do you want one? Do you want one? It's like, good. No, good. I'll eat all of them.
Packet, yeah.
I'm going to get some hobnobs today. I'm celebrating.
This one's a good one, James.
Till they ruin my life on Sunday.
Just so you know, I'm avoiding all the FPL questions because most of them, I'm afraid, are a bit boring. James Nelson, I know your Saturday night.
I can't make it any clearer in the tweet, can I?
Nah.
Can you read everybody what I said in the tweet?
You said, make it fun.
And what else did I say?
You're happy or something. I think. I'm in a good mood, make it fun or something.
Make it fun, for fuck's sake. I'm in a good mood.
You won't be on Saturday night, especially if you're saying it's Eurovision, and I know what Katie loves. So
got in last
James
night.
Nelson, what's your favourite Eurovision song? Gina G for me.
Give me. Is that Eurovision?
Nah. Why would it be Eurovision?
Everyone's saying, give me a ginger from Belgium this week, aren't they? I think.
But I don't know any I've never watched it. I couldn't care less about it. I'm so not... Eurovision must be bottom of my list of things to give a shit about. But I remember Gina G with her ginger hair when she did her song back at school. So I'll give it to Gina G.
Ooh,
just a little bit.
A little bit more. Yeah, I'm gonna have to put up with that Saturday night, unfortunately. Yes,
there are sacrifices you make.
We had this argument. I've spoken about it before on one of the pods. She put it in the time tree. Like, if you've got a partner and you need to kind of book out your days, get Time Trees, the app you want, right? And it's kind of first in wins, right? Obviously, back in January or something, she put Eurovision in the fucking... I'm like, what the fuck are you doing? She's like, yeah, you got to be home that night and watching that shit. And I was like, not if fucking Tottenham are in the FA Cup final. I ain't going to be home. You can put whatever you like there. I'll be at Wembley. Now, obviously, as soon as I realised that, she looked at me and I went, yes, I know, love. We probably won't be in the FA Cup final. Yeah, she can have that. But I got in last night and she was awake. And I said to her, have you seen that? Like, UK are like second favourites. There's always a race for nil poir, isn't it? She said, is it? And she said, the song's quite good this year. I have no idea what the song is. I said, it's a waste of time, though. You know who's winning it? Who's winning it?
Ukraine.
Obviously. What's the fucking point?
Yeah. I'm not watching it, thank God. And I never
Honestly, Ukraine, whoever's doing it for Ukraine, could come on the stage, drop the mic and walk off and still win it. So if you enjoy all that results nonsense business, I'm telling you now, Ukraine will win. Forget about it.
Would you rather be a mosquito-sized horse or a horse-sized mosquito? Obviously a horse-sized mosquito. I'd annoy the shit out of everyone. Sting the fuck out of everyone. A giant mosquito buzzing around everywhere. You'd conquer the fucking world, mate.
Yeah, I mean, there's more chance of death, surely, as a mosquito-sized horse. You just get trod on, like. Yeah.
Glenn, what would your touchline outfit be if you were a manager? I'd go
tracky, hide the belly a bit.
I wouldn't want to go suit. I wouldn't want to go suit. I wouldn't want to be a suit manager. I'd be a cash manager. So, the Germany manager, the one that stuck his finger up his butt, he wore a t-shirt. He was always t-shirt and jeans kind of look, wasn't he? So, I'm not so keen on the finger up the butt stuff. Yeah,
tracksuit.
Brendan Saunders, when are you launching Planet FPL shirts, caps, and stubby coolers? Stubby being beer bottles.
When are we going to have a t-shirt which on the front says Q Music Manchild and on the back says ciao for now?
Manchild fucking will charge too much royalties. But I'm seeing it today, yeah. He might pop into the old office.
Nico, design that. There you go.
Yeah. He edits video. T-shirt designer.
You can design, right?
Yeah.
Oh, okay, maybe not.
We need to get another mic. Actually, this new machine in front of us can take a USB mic, so we can get Nico on the pod soon because we can plug in a third mic. Ooh. The world needs to meet Nico. Like, there's going to be one of the post-season episodes of content has to be Ask Nico. I think people can send in questions for
like that.
Our video editor. Yes, Ask Nico's coming.
You got to put it on Patreon, right? Make people pay for it. Obviously, everything
on Patreon. This whole podcast is not going to be here next season.
Are we doing Vardy versus Rudy on Patreon as well?
That was great. I don't know. It was. I was having a conversation with someone. Let me stitch up James and put this tweet out. I don't know what it's up to, but last time I checked, it was up to 144 likes.
That's big for Suj.
172.
Yeah.
People want it, mate.
Yeah.
People want it.
I'm not putting while there's a court case going on, we are not doing that in front
It's
of
fine.
No, we're doing it on Patreon, mate.
It's fine. It's fine. Brad McKenzie. If FPL was a board game, what would it closely relate to? And he's got a list here, which is pretty good.
Monopoly's got to be one of them.
Snakes and ladders.
Yeah, that's
It's
good.
a good. Chess.
Yeah,
there's too much luck involved. Bingo. Nah.
It can be sometimes. Look at that Michael Keane.
Mousetrap. Nah. You could get caught with trap players. There's fucking a few of them. And Kaplunk.
Oh, Kaplunk. That's cool.
I like snakes and ladders.
I think this week particularly, yeah. Well, let's go with that.
Yeah, I think snakes and ladders. Let me find one other question. Come on, someone's got to have sent in a good one.
No, they haven't actually.
Here we go. Gibbo, we've answered this one before. Food always comes back into.
What?
We'll do a food
always
episode.
want to ask us food questions.
I have no idea. Chips and gravy or chips and curry sauce? Shit, that's a...
Neither.
What do you mean neither?
Fucking neither. Salt and vinegar.
This is a difficult one.
Right, gravy, because I can't deal with the curry sauce.
So fish and chip shop curry sauce, yeah, is definitely one. Like my missus would go with it. But then KFC gravy, chips and gravy from KFC is a good one. So both, I'm afraid, Gibbo, both. But I need to stop eating chips. Man.
Chips from KFC that's a bad start anyway.
I need to stop eating chips.
Why did they change them? Made them worse.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Matt Derbyshire, last question of the show, James. Did either of your other halves have any weird cravings whilst pregnant?
Go on.
I can't remember. Mine didn't have anything particularly
Well, you can't remember
weird.
being there, or
yeah,
were you always out?
Like when you after you've had kids and they get to like 6, 7, 8 or whatever, you block out all that other shit from when they're little. Like when I went up to Derby on the bank holiday weekend, staying with a few friends, a couple that had a boy. He must be 6 months, and the daughter's like 1.5 or something like that. And all the shit that they were going through, I was like, oh, I forgot about all of that, nappy changing and feeding. And you feed a kid and it pukes 30 seconds later just all over your clothes. You change your clothes and what happens next? Other kid pukes on them and shit and piss and all this kind of stuff. I block all of that out. Your brain has this amazing way of like disregarding all of that, just putting it in a closet and just putting a do not open on it. So my wife didn't have too many weird cravings though.
Sorry, I got a really boring answer here. She didn't.
Yeah.
Is the truth.
Yeah. I wish...
in fact, it
started
was...
craving cigarettes. Started smoking. Do
you know what? In fact, I thought she was going to be such a fucking nightmare when she was pregnant. She was very good, actually. And she was very good for the few months after the birth as well. And she's been a very good mum. To be honest, just last year or so, she's been a complete bleep again.
That first part of that, Auntie James, do you mind, Nico, clipping that out? I'm going to send it to Katie Ann. And James going to have another kid.
Love you, babe.
James going to have another kid. You have to coincide it with the Aussie.
Not having another one, mate. No chance.
Listeners, hope you enjoyed this episode of Planet FPL. We'll be back at you on Monday with kind of Monday.
We'll be back Monday.
We've got 9 games to go through, isn't it? Or 8 games or whatever. We've got some football to talk about in the home stretch of the season. Chill out this evening, have a couple of beers or whatever you do to unwind, switch off from FPL, and we'll be back at you in a few days. Stay safe. Ciao for now.
Thanks, everyone. Play it your way. Be nice to each other. Cue music, please, man child.